Traveling to Japan with kids can be a heap of fun, but there are definitely a few things to know that will help make your holiday all the smoother. In this video, I'll be giving you an overview of your accommodation options in Japan and how to choose where you stay. Be sure to also check out my video on transport and getting around, and keep an eye out for guides to eating in Japan and how to spend your time to keep the whole family happy. Let's get into it. The first thing to consider is how straightforward it will be to get to your accommodation with all your luggage in the first place. If you're flying into Haneda, for instance, the monorail takes you to Hamamatsucho and the Keikyu Line train goes to Shinagawa, so staying in one of those suburbs or close by on the east side of the city may make sense. That also means hopping on a Shinkansen is easy, as they depart from Shinagawa and Tokyo Station. I always use apps like Google Maps to work out how easy the commute will be before I settle on an itinerary and book any accommodation. Speaking of your itinerary, I'd recommend building it out so that you're not constantly on the move. With young kids in particular, it's a real hassle to move around with luggage, so don't try and cram too many stops into your stay. The holiday needs to be fun for everyone, so don't feel bad about making it easy on yourself and setting up camp for a few days in each location. Of course, it depends on what you want to get out of the trip, but particularly if your kids have never been to Japan before, there's so much to do in the big cities that you can spend several awesome days in a single city and have the peace of mind that you're coming back to the same accommodation every night. The key part of doing that, of course, is finding a central location in which to stay so that it's easy to get to the places you want to go. Keen to hit up Team Labs, Disneyland, and say Skytree while in Tokyo? The east side of the city is going to be the most convenient. And even if you want to spend a day on the other side of the city in Shibuya or visiting the Ghibli Museum, as a couple of examples, Tokyo's public transport is so good it's still not going to be a huge hassle. Each city is a little different, of course. Kyoto has limited train coverage, so you'll need to use buses a lot more for getting around. With that in mind, you may want to stay near Kyoto Station so you're close to the main public transport hub. If you head to Osaka, on the other hand, you'll probably come into Shin Osaka on the Shinkansen, but that's pretty out of the way and the subway system in the city is excellent, so you're much better off booking accommodation that's closer to the action. But what kind of accommodation can you expect to find in Japan? Well, your choice of hotels may be a bit different going to Japan with kids as opposed to on your own or as a couple. When I travel on my own, for instance, I almost always stay in business hotels. They're everywhere, great value, and I don't really care if my room is a shoebox with a view onto the wall of the adjacent building. Because these hotels are meant to cater to business travellers, however, they have a lot less rooms that will fit families than they do rooms that can accommodate 1 or 2 people. They're also less likely to have baby-friendly options like cots. I also found when searching for family accommodation online that a lot of the options I was presented with were pretty misleading. It was quite surprising how many of the search results seemed to assume that a lone double or queen-sized bed would somehow be enough for myself, my partner, and my 9-year-old, to the point that I reverted to simply searching for rooms for 3 adults after a while. This is something to be very conscious of, so when searching for accommodation, make sure the site you're looking at clearly tells you how many beds there are and how large they'll be. Be particularly wary of anywhere that says kids can stay for free, as there's a reason for that. They probably won't have their own bed. When I'm planning a trip of my own, I generally search for hotels directly through Google Maps, but there's no option in that interface to specify that you have children with you and what their ages are. To enable that functionality, you'll need to head to google.com/travel and click on the Hotels tab. Google's a reasonable enough option for the most part, but you may want to try other aggregators such as TripAdvisor and Hotels Combined. That said, in addition to the hassle of trying to find a realistic set of beds, some aggregate sites also have a tendency to shunt you from aggregator to aggregator. If you're less concerned about squeezing the best possible deal out of your accommodation, there's something to be said for just going straight to the Aggregators and Booking.coms of the world, particularly as they incentivize using them with various status and booking rewards. Your budget will partly determine the kinds of hotels you're looking at, but so too will your needs. Do you need a bit more room than a business hotel is likely to provide for multiple suitcases, strollers and the like? Would you value a view because you're likely to be back at the hotel early in the evening? Do you need laundry facilities, luggage forwarding services? There are a lot of considerations. In addition to hotels, Ryokan can be a good option as they'll generally have larger rooms, especially when the futons you sleep on are packed away, and will give your kids more of a taste of Japanese culture. Plus, the fact that you're sleeping on futons means they can scale based on your needs a lot more easily than a traditional hotel. Renting apartments or going through Airbnb can also make sense if you, again, want more space and are interested in using amenities like microwaves, stovetops, and washing machines. I also prioritize hotels with onsen facilities, as for us, a day in Japan isn't complete without a soak. Chains like Dormy Inn are both affordable and often have quite good baths, so we've always got a couple of those in the mix on our trips. Be sure to check out their tattoo policy ahead of time if you're inked up though. Check-in for accommodation in Japan is typically 3 p.m, and hotels will almost never let you into your room before that. Even if it's 2 p.m, they'll go through the check-in process and then tell you that the check-in time is 3 p.m. It's frustrating, but just something you have to accept about traveling in Japan. The key thing is to plan your days around that fact. Hotels are almost always fine to hold your bags before you can check in or after you check out, so take advantage of that to ensure you're not lugging luggage unnecessarily. If you do get caught with your bags, by the way, the lockers at train stations can be a lifesaver, and they have English language instructions too. Lastly, this is an obvious tip, but save hotels and other locations you're planning on visiting or hoping to visit on Google Maps or your map app of choice. That way you don't have to search for them again, as they'll already be visible on the map. Doing this ahead of time will also ensure you've got the right location. Plenty of hotel chains have multiple hotels in the same city with very similar names. You don't want to rock up to the wrong one. I hope this guide has been helpful. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any more of my Japan travel content. There are more tips for family holiday planning coming up, so keep an eye out. And good luck planning your trip. Kampai.